Okay, so now let's simplify some fractions. Let me see if I can get this text box out of here. I don't know why it's here. It's driving me crazy. Oh, now I know why I'm there. Okay, so let's simplify some fractions. Let's start with 2/4. Can you tell me what you're supposed to do next? I hope you said that you're supposed to make a T-chart. And it's called a T-chart because you make a T for your numerator, which is this 2. And you make another T for your denominator, which is this 4. Now what you're trying to do is trying to find the factors that make up the 2 and the factors that can give you a 4. So for 2, the factors that can give you a 2 is 1 times 2. For 4, the factors that can give you a 4 are 1 times 4 and 2 times 2. Okay? Now, I'm going to write down all of my common factors. And I know a lot of you students like to miss this step, but the way to make sure you get these problems right is to do what you see your teachers or whoever is showing you. Do what you see them doing. They're doing it not because they don't know how to do it. They are doing these things because they actually want to see you doing it so that you will be successful. So if you skip out on any one of these steps, you're only hurting yourself. So that's why practice is so important. So the factors that I see, common factors that I see here is a 1 and 1. Let me put a 1 down here. And I see a 2 and a 2. Those are my common factors. Now what I need to do now is I need to find the greatest common factor. Now greatest common factor for this one is the 2. Okay, 2. Now what I like to do is I like to take the division symbol and put it right here. Because guess what? This is the number that you're going to divide your numerator and your denominator by. Okay, so let's do that. We're going to divide 2 by 2, and we're going to divide 4 by 2. Notice I put all of that down before I started writing some numbers here. Notice that my 2 is the same for the top and the bottom. I need to make sure my fractions stay equivalent. They stay equal. They stay the same amount. Even if the numbers look different, I need the amount to stay the same. The only way that's going to happen if I divide by 2, in this case, for the numerator and denominator. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I have found my simplified answer. I hope that you have found the same also. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line here. I want to do another problem. And if you need to, you can take a moment. You can pause the video for a minute and go and do something like go take a restroom break or walk around for a little bit. maybe read some class notes or something like that before you come on to this next one. Okay, so now I hope that you took a 5-minute break or so, not too long of a break, but just something to have your mind be a little clear. So the next problem we're going to do, and this is also another time when you might have to simplify a fraction. 1/3 plus 1/6. Okay, now notice here that I have two fractions, then I have an operation in between them. This is not the time to do a T-chart. You do the T-chart once you get here and find out what your answer is. This is when you do the T-chart. Okay, so you'll do a T-chart for this fraction. Do not do a T-chart for this fraction and this fraction. Once again, do not do a T-chart for this fraction and this fraction. You actually are going to do the lazy T's for those because they're not the same, because the denominators are not the same. See? Denominators are different. Time for the lazy T. I'm going to speed through that part because my concentration for this tutorial is actually just simplifying the fraction. But I need you to see the difference here. So I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I'm doing, but I'm going to do a little fast. I'm going to do the lazy T, and I'm going to put my denominators, only my denominators. When I'm doing simplification, I'm putting in my numerator in one of the T-charts and my denominator in one of the T-charts. So one is for the numerator and one is for the denominator. When I do my lazy T over here, I'm actually putting both denominators of two different fractions because I need to get them to be the same. Okay, so right here I'm going to put in the multiples of 3. This is called the lazy T because what we're going to do is we're going to find the multiples of both of these numbers. So I'm going to skip count or count by 3s. If you have a multiplication chart, you just look at one of the columns or one of the rows for 3 and put those numbers in. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 6. And I make sure I start off with the number. 6, 12, 18, 24. I had to think for a minute. Now, normally you would go with the smallest one. You want least common multiple, or what they call least common denominator. In this case, it would be a 6. That's the smallest one that both of them have in common. But guess what? Today, in order to get it a little bit larger, to get the answer a little larger so that I can simplify it, I'm actually going to use these two 12s. You, as a young person, need to use these 6, okay? But I am going to use a 12 today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my new denominators for these two here. And go here. My new denominator is going to be a 12. Okay? And then for 6, my new denominator is going to also be a 12. Because remember, when we're adding or we're subtracting fractions, we need to make sure our denominator is the same. Because the answer 2/9, I'm sorry, yeah, 2/9 would not be correct in this case. Okay, so if you want to put 2/9, that is wrong. Do not do that. Do not just put that answer down, because that is completely wrong. Okay, so what we're going to do is now we have to see what number do we have to multiply by to get our new denominator. So if I want to get a 12 here, for 3, I would have to do 3 times 4. So 3 times 4 will give me 12. So since I want to keep the fractions equivalent, I will multiply by 4 at the top two. So 1 times 4 is 4. Here, what do I need to multiply 6 by to get 12? 2. Okay, so let me multiply by 2 at the top two, also because I want to keep it equivalent. So now here are my two answers. So right here, I will go back to the original problem, and I will rewrite it with my new fractions, my new equivalent fractions that now have the same denominator. Let me do that right here. So for 1/3, I'm going to put 4/12. And for 1/6, I'm going to put 2/12. Now, when we add, we keep our denominators. As long as they're the same, we keep them. So this does not become 24. This stays a 12. Okay? And then 4 plus 2 gives us that 6, which means we have 6/12. Okay? Now, here we have 6/12 for our answer. Now, this is when we do the t-chart, because you always simplify your answers if you can. If they're not already in what we call lowest terms, you simplify your answers. Okay? So I'm going to come over here, and this is where I take my t-chart and I put my numerator here. What is my numerator? It's 6. And then I come over here and I put my denominator. What is my denominator? 12. So 1 times 6, 2 times 3. For 12, 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. And I find the greatest common one. That means the one that both of them have that are the same. And that would be, that would be the 6. So that's what I'm going to divide by. I'm going to come over here to my 6/12, and I'm going to divide by that 6. So my answer is going to become 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. So there's my answer. So I just want to go ahead and remind you that on this problem, I found my least common multiple to be 6, which is here. But I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I went ahead and I just used 12s instead, because I wanted the answer to come out pretty big so that I know for sure that I would need to simplify it. Now, if I had to use 6, I probably still would have had to simplify it, but I think it's a little bit more fun to simplify some of the bigger numbers in a fraction. So I hope this helps, and I hope you're working along with the problem, and have a good day.